Live from MMA Fighting Studios, this is Between the Links. And now, your host, Mike Heck.
The iconic voice of Esterlin welcomes you to a brand new edition of Between the Links. I hope everyone's having a fantastic week. And you know what? With all the open scoring, judging, robbery talks over the last several days, and I guess if we're being fair, several weeks, several months, I figured we all needed a rest from the typical stuff we would do on this particular program. And instead, we decided to pivot, and we have deemed this All-Star Weekend on this off week for most of the major promotions. We decided to do our own selection show this week on BTL, where we will shine a light on those who have made big, strong moves in 2022 thus far, and thus we will award them and reward them for their efforts. It'll be myself alongside an esteemed panel of all-star general managers. First, Mr. Jed Meshew. Let's give him a break from getting crushed by fan voting. How are you, sir?
I mean, to be fair, the fan votes I'm losing I'm expected to lose them, right? For whatever reason, Drake has like an army of people that are just super into him. And then the other one was against a professional fighter. It would have been a really bad look for me to, and let's be clear, I absolutely gave that man the business. There was not a contest. T-Rex got T-Wrecked, but the fans, you know, they got to do what they got to do, and that's fair. Like, I understand it. You know, I know when to go out on my back, right? And that was one of those moments. But yeah, it'll be nice to do this sort of different thing and be a little less combative today.
There you go. And of course, let us introduce my best friend, the Prince of Positivity, who is mostly here to make sure we're heading in the right direction towards positivity, Mr. Alexander K. Lee. AK, hello, my best friend.
My best friend, I'm so happy. I was told, everyone knows I am not a big, I'm not super enthusiastic when it comes to wanting to be in between the links. This kind of competition makes me nervous. I get the sweats. I don't enjoy it. But when you reached out and told me this would be a non-competitive episode where I get to share time with my best friend, you, and also Jed, that I got super excited. It's non-competitive. We're celebrating positivity of all the good things that happened in the first half of 2022. So I am ready. And I hope not that I somehow don't find a way to lose this somehow. So, no need to add to my record of L's.
All right, so a couple of ground rules. Let's just go through the rules real quick. We're kind of flying on the seat of our pants. Yesterday, I made the pivot at around 5 p.m. Eastern. We're not going to do a regular show. We're just going to do something completely different. I think it was needed to change pace, but here's how it's going to work. One, we're going to each select one fighter from each weight class to represent our all-star team. And it has to be somebody who has competed in 2022 to this point. So you cannot pick Kamaru Usman since he hasn't fought. Two, we have to have at least one fighter outside of the UFC on our roster. A Bellator fighter has to make the list. So there you go. We can't just be all UFC fighters. Three, for the women, we're going to do 115, 125, and we're going to do 135 plus, which means we'll pick one fighter and they can represent either the women's bantamweight, featherweight, or lightweight divisions. Four, obviously, once a fighter is gone, you cannot pick them again. Like if I pick Fighter A, you cannot also pick Fighter A. They're on my all-star team. You have to go somewhere else. And lastly, really off topic, but it pertains. I have two massive softball games this evening. Playoff hopes are on the line, so we have to be done in like an hour. So other than that, I think we are good to go. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Not at all. But
All right.
I mean, sure, why
Excellent.
not?
I'm so ready, and I am making a pinned comment in the chat about the rules you just read out.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not. This is a pinned. I don't want to distract today's president with a poll. It's the draft rules have to have fought this year. We need all of us need to have a fighter from outside the UFC, and women rosters will be 115, 125, and 135 and up. So for anyone who tunes in, late, they can just look at this pinned comment on YouTube, and they will be caught up.
All right. Now, earlier in the day, I put all three of our names in the magic random generator that I got for free. So I didn't have to use the MMA Fighting Magic computer. Jed, you actually get the first pick. AK, you get the second pick. I get the third pick. There will be no snake
draft. Oh,
no
so I get the
snake.
first
No
in every
snaking.
round.
No. Here's
Oh.
how it's gonna work. It's not really like 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So Jed, we're gonna start at heavyweight. You'll make the first pick at heavyweight. AK will go second. I will go third, and then at 205, AK will go first. I go second, Jed third. Middleweight, I go first, Jed second, and then once it goes back around, Jed will go first again.
Not snake rotation. A rotation. A rotating.
We're letting everybody in. Okay.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. So Jed, your heavyweight all-star selection. Who is the first representative for the Jed Meshew All-Stars?
Well, this is going to be an easy one. This is the category I had the most names written down for because I didn't know where I'd come in the picks, and I wanted to make sure I had options. My heart wants to take Andrei Arlovsky because he has competed twice this year and has won both times. Just so we're clear, that man has given you 30 minutes of combat thus far this year and 2 dubs. That's 4 total paychecks he's gotten. It's hard to argue with the year. But if we're doing this, the spirit of this, there's one choice. Tommy Aspinall. No. It's got to be Tommy Aspinall. The man he's a rocket ship. We talked about he's going straight to the moon. He headlined the big return to UFC London, one of the basically the bright spots of this year, and frankly, one of the bright spots for the UFC of the past couple of years, just from a feel-good standpoint. That whole event was magic, and he was the star around which it was built to some extent, and it was so great they're going back, and he's going to do the damn thing again. So, for sure, first pick, give me Tommy Aspinall, the future heavyweight champion.
That's a great pick, a tremendous pick. Way to start it off. AK, we go to you. Who's part of Team Positivity?
I went with a more obvious choice. I think it's a more obvious choice. Apparently, there wasn't one. Though I promise I did not just pick all UFC champions for my top picks, but there were several that were certainly worthy of being an all-star representative. I am going to go with Francis Ngannou. Now you can say, that win over Ciryl Gane was not as impressive as, the atmosphere that Tommy Aspinall created in London, Tai Tuivasa emerging as a contender. There are certainly other great options, but I think it's the way Ngannou did it, showing off the wrestling. Yes, mixing the martial arts, which often I'm not a proponent of, but in this fight, it was just so cool because we had all sort of got into it. We had all gone into it going like, well, Gane's probably technically the better striker, we know Francis is going in with an injury. So I was like, how's Francis going to win this? And it kind of played out as a lot of us had thought through the first couple rounds. We're like, yeah, Gane is a handful for him on the feet. And then Ngannou just said, listen, I'm an MMA fighter. I train all this stuff. I'm going to my wrestling. He wasn't like prime GSP or Khabib out there, but he did enough with the wrestling, did enough offense to win the fight. It was great. And of course, beyond that, that it was the last fight on his current contract, as we know, that it now kicks off this sort of prolonged period of, unfortunately, inactivity as he tries to, get his freedom from the UFC, tries to set it up so he can take all these boxing fights. So the fight itself, I get it, maybe not one we'd all want to rewatch again, maybe parts of it, but his performing under those circumstances, winning under those circumstances, and possibly now fighting a battle beyond anything that he's done before outside of the cage. I think that to me makes him my all-star representative heavyweight.
Another great pick. There's a number of ways I could have gone with this. Obviously, Tai Tuivasa would have been a great name to throw on here. Curtis Blades, big win. He's going to be main eventing. But I'm going off the board here. I'm going off the MMA Fighting Global Rankings, although I'm not exactly sure if he's going to make the MMA Fighting Global Rankings for the month of June, but he should. His name is Alexander Romanov. Alexander Romanov is the first pick on the Mike Heck All-Stars. Never has a fighter outside of maybe Valentina Shevchenko, just because we want to see how great she is, never has a fighter that was like a minus floppity Jillian favorite gotten so much attention and put so much buzz on a fight that everybody knew the result of ahead of time. And Alexander Romanov did that, built himself up. He's suplexing his coaches. He's a fun-loving dude. He's getting shredded. He actually lost more. They were supposed to do the Chase Sherman fight like 2 weeks prior or a week prior, and he actually ended up getting more shredded in between rebooking that fight. So to me, Alexander Romanov should enter the MMA Fighting Global Rankings, and he will enter our hearts and enter my all-star roster as my heavyweight selection. Although there were some others in there, Tai Tuivasa, like I mentioned, Tai Tuivasa, Curtis Blades, etc. But I'm going with Alexander Romanov. First all-star bid, he gets the nod. So good round, gentlemen. Good start. I like it. Let's move down to 205, light heavyweight division. Team positivity is up. AK, let's keep this positivity train going. Who is your light heavyweight representative?
Yeah, this is tricky. This was a little tricky because technically he didn't win in his first fight in 2022 so far, but he essentially was on his way to doing so. He lost because of a freak. I don't want to say a freak thing, but one of those freak fouls. I'm getting my Bellator pick out of the way right away, or my non-UFC pick. One, I think of several, depending on how the draft shakes out for me. Corey Anderson. Number one, I think on a couple of ballots, I want to say, in our MMA Fighting rankings now. He was already first. Yeah, okay. Two panelists in our MMA Fighting rankings have Corey Anderson number one. And there's a strong case to be made for it. Again, he's got to win over Glover Teixeira. He's looked amazing in Bellator. He looked great, but when he left the UFC, he's not one of those guys who he fell into a slump and then the UFC cut him. He landed in Bellator. He has the skill set. He has the resume. He's the kind of guy, if you match him up with a lot of people in anyone's top 10, top 5, would be favored against a lot of them. I wish he'd gotten, to finish that fight against Nemkov, but anyone who watched it pretty much said this is the number one guy in Bellator. And at the very worst, like the number 2, number 3 guy in all of light heavyweight across all the promotions. So Corey Anderson, you're my all-star guy here.
Nice. And this is a smart move by you because now you have your fighter outside of the UFC. You have your Bellator representation. And oddly enough, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. And I'm going to take this man away from Jed Meshew.
I hate you.
I know.
I hate you.
Yoel
I know exactly what you're
Romero.
Doing. You're an
Yoel
awful
Romero.
person, and bad
Come
things
on,
should
baby.
happen to you, Mike.
Come
He's
on.
back. He's back.
He's back. He's back. He is on. He's making the list. I've checked it twice. He is there. He broke Alex Polizzi's freaking jaw as an underdog for his fight. Dominated Alex Polizzi, got him out of there with like 1 second left in the fight. It was a tremendous performance. And by the way, Jed, you shouldn't be allowed to pick Yoel Romero because you went on the broadcasting scene picking against Yoel Romero. And now Yoel Romero is part of my squad. So maybe there are other guys who may deserve the nod ahead of Yoel Romero, but in my eyes, tremendous start to his year. And there you go. He is on the team. Now it's
Did
up
you
to
call him an
man.
underdog against Polizzi? He was not.
He
an
was the
underdog
dog, wasn't he?
Polizzi.
He wasn't?
Was
I
not.
thought he was.
No, that's why I bet Polizzi is because Polizzi was the dog and Yoel is Yoel. He can beat anybody. He also could just decide to not fight because that's the thing
That's
that
true.
sometimes he does. That's why I love him so
apologize.
much. I knew one of you was going to do this. Fortunately, I had a backup plan, and I can't believe I can believe it because Corey makes sense, and then someone was going to be a hater. But I think the actual clear best light heavyweight of the year thus far, for our intents and purposes, and maybe we're going to stretch it a little bit, Jailton Almeida. I mean, look, he's fought twice this year. Granted, one of those was the other week, and it was a heavyweight fight against Paca Porta. But he competed first at light heavyweight. He's a natural light heavyweight. He's got 2 dubs on the year, 2 dominant performances. This guy is one of the lone bright spots in what is otherwise a Garbo division. So give me Jailton Almeida because he's probably going to fight 2 more times this year. So I'm going to look even smarter at the end of the year when we go back and look at this and say, wow, Jed nailed that one.
I like the pick.
I was actually going to cheat and use Jailton as my heavyweight if my first 2 picks got taken.
I mean,
So
what
I was actually
cheating?
be sneaky about it. I mean, technically not. He, again, in the UFC, or at least this year, I would say, sorry. He's fought once at light heavy and once at heavy. And he said, he's told our own Guillermo Cruz that he's like, I might stick around at heavyweight. He's like, I like it up here. And that was before the fight. So I don't know. Maybe
He's a
this guy
well-built
tries
young
to,
man.
again,
He's a
do the
well-built young
Cormier
man.
Yeah.
He sure is. He sure is. Let's move to 185. I get the first pick this round. There's a lot to like here at 185 for this kind of selection. There are fighters who have multiple wins, who have multiple finishes, but I think I have to go with Israel Adesanya here, getting the win over Robert Whittaker. Tough fight. gets it done. He's about to headline International Fight Week, UFC 276 on July 2nd in Las Vegas. So I'd be probably crazy if I didn't pick the UFC middleweight champion. That's what I'm doing. Israel Adesanya. Jed Meshew, where are you going?
Oh man, honestly, Izzy was only on my radar because he's the champion, but I would have never taken him. Now you're giving me a choice here between two guys that I don't think either of you are going to take, but I think are objectively the best two choices. So I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to be my guy. I've been backing this guy longer than anybody else at MMAfighting.com. I am the original RDR guy. He's like 6 or something in my middleweight rankings. And the man has 2 fights this year. Now, only one of those is a fight. The other one, he went to a draw with Andre Galvao. Yes, that's the Andre Galvao in a grappling match. So this man is giving you content. He's giving you performances. He's going to be taking all the belts at one championship. Renier de Ritter, just to make AK mad. Renier de Ritter.
Hold on. Can you listen? Can we once and for all help you to you are credit
no,
to
it's
you.
Way more fun.
You are number 1 on this the RDR train. Can I help you to pronounce his name properly? It's actually much easier. It's much easier than you're making it sound.
The Brazilian pronunciation.
That makes no sense.
Renier de Hitter. He's
Stop
the
it.
hitter.
I don't even think you're getting it right. If you were Portuguese, I don't even think that's the way to do it.
Probably not. Let's get Guy on. He can explain where I'm mispronouncing Renier de Ritter.
Listeners, it is so much easier. It is Reiner de Ritter. It is Reiner de Ritter. It's not Heinier. It's not Heiner. It's not Renier. It's not Renier. It's not Renier. It is Reiner. It's Reiner de Ritter.
Regardless, you know who I'm talking about, and he is now on my team. One of the best middleweights in the world, and one day he will show you all.
President of one championship. Well, we assume the president of one championship's grappling committee. Who did they announce as the vice? They raised it one championship's vice president. Leo. Oh my gosh, what's his name? Leo Laitis or whatever.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't remember? You got the press release. We had this discussion with Guy.
When I get one championship press releases, do you know what I do with them? I immediately just highlight and delete. Like that's nice. I don't even open it up.
That's anyway.
What if RDR is the topic, the subject matter?
He just texts me. We're boys like
yeah.
Because I'm the leader of the fan club. Sure. So he's just like, hey man, I got a fight coming up. I'm like,
just skip
thanks, Kenny.
AK, how do you top that pick and that pronunciation?
Oh God, I got two close ones here.
Well, there's a good middleweight who you could also butcher his pronunciation if you want to take him.
Well, 100%. He's on my list.
You guys gotta tell me who that is because I kind of just want to go Gegard. I'll tell you what I'm thinking here. I kind of want to go Gegard. I kind of want to go Alex Pereira just because he has done everything he's needed to do to set himself up for a UFC title shot. Because we all knew, like, when he signed with the UFC, even before he signed with the UFC, every interview he did with like everyone was like, "Are you coming to the UFC? Are you going to get that Izzy fight?" And he's always, of course, looked forward to it. He has a couple of wins over Izzy in boxing, kickboxing, as everyone knows. Excuse me. The first one very close, controversial. The second one he was losing, comeback knockout. And people want to see, can he beat him? Can he beat the unbeatable Adesanya in MMA as well? So all he had to do was take care of business. He got a win last year. Won a tough fight this year. You know what? I've talked myself into it. Alex Pereira. With respect to Gegard, who just keeps getting it done in Bellator, took care of business against Austin Vanderford. I mean, I know everyone's like, yeah, it's Austin Vanderford. And I was like, yeah, he did what he's supposed to do. He wiped him out. It wasn't close. But Alex Pereira, he'll be fighting again soon. He's maybe one win away, one very, very tough win away. He's got an upcoming fight against Sean Strickland. But we'll see. By the end of right now I'm saying he's my middleweight all-star pick. By the end of the year, we could be talking about him for top 5 on the Fighter of the Year list. We'll see.
So the other person, the number 2 on my list was Chidi and Njokuani. He's got 100%. two badass performances this year already.
Yep.
So
I had Adesanya, Chidi, Mousasi. That's who I had. Those are my top 3. Pereira is a great pick. RDR is a great pick. Lots of fun ones at 185. Let's go to welterweight. Jed, I don't know. This one seems pretty obvious, but welterweight, who are you going with, and why is his name rhyme with Chimaev?
It's not. I'm not going. I'm going to let somebody else have that, even though I have been driving the Khamzat bandwagon, because there's another man that my compatriot on this show was with me in supporting early and often, certainly in the hallowed panels of the Missed Fist column that we used to do before he unceremoniously kicked me out of that. But that we'll litigate that at another time. I'm taking Michel Pereira. Look, he has fought twice, and they have both been very entertaining, very good fights. More importantly, he has won them both and established himself as one of the top 15 or 20 best welterweights in the world. I know rankings are coming out sometime next week for us. And he has now cracked my top 15. Look, two fight of the night performances. I don't actually remember if he got bonuses for both of those, but as far as I was concerned, they were the best fights on the card, their respective cards. Yeah, give me Khamzat's great. Khamzat had, a fight of the year, if not the fight of the year, but give me a guy who's done it twice. And Michel Pereira, I love you. I love you forever.
It's a great pick. He's on my list. AK, are you going Chimaev?
Yeah, Pereira was my. I'm not pronunciation. Pereira was my number 2 pick though, because for all the reasons that Jed mentioned. Like, this is a guy who, when the UFC signed him, we were like, he's going to put on some fun fights at the very least. Will he be a contender? Well, we didn't even care. We're kind of like, if he becomes a contender, great. We just want to see fun stuff. I know Jed's a little disappointed that he's kind of cleaned up his act and has become a contender. But for me, I'm amazed. This is a guy who's almost like 40 fights into his career. So for him to put forth this change of style, I think is so admirable. So yeah, I mean, excellent number 1 choice, but I am going Chimaev. Fight of the year contender, front runner, I should say, with Gilbert Burns. I thought a really good win. I didn't think it was controversial at all. A close fight, but I don't think it was controversial. And the Chimaev train just keeps rolling along as it should be. So for sure, he would have been my number 1 pick, but I'm happy to take him number 2.
I thought Jed. I thought I was going to end up with Michel Pereira, because I thought that Jed was going to do what he said he was going to do and draft the new interim welterweight champion from Bellator, but he did not do that. He did not take Logan Storley, so it threw me off my game. So he went with Pereira, which is a tremendous pick. AK, I mean, how can you not take Chimaev in that spot? I'm going with the other half of that tremendous fight. I'm going with Gilbert Burns, because even though he did not win, I think his stock rose tremendously. He proved a lot in that fight, and I feel like people, even though he's really good and he earned a title shot and he gave Usman some problems in that fight, I think this is the one that people are going to remember him the most from when his career is over. Even if he becomes a world champion, I think we're all going to circle that fight with Khamzat Chimaev. So yeah, give it to Gilbert Burns. You get in a war like that, everybody wins, and you may not have gotten the second paycheck, Gilbert, in the judge's decision, but you got a spot on my all-star squad. So congratulations to you, Gilbert Burns. And sometimes that, maybe not this year, but next year, the year after, that's going to be worth more than getting a split decision nod over a Khamzat Chimaev. So congratulations to you, Dorino. Well-deserved. As we head down to one of the best divisions in the sport, Jed Meshew, this is the best division in the sport, in your opinion. It's super high talents up the top. It's getting deeper. We got some fun main events coming up involving this division. But AK, we begin with you. This one seems clear, but maybe it isn't. Mr. Rules Rule, who is your all-star selection?
Yeah, listen. It's clear to me. It is clear to me, but certainly this man could be disqualified from this category altogether, as technically, well, he
it's
didn't
not even
compete
technically. He didn't compete at lightweight. It's catchweight bout.
Yes.
Come on,
he did.
AK.
No, he did. No, he did compete at lightweight.
No, he didn't.
155.5 is a lightweight bout.
No, it's not. It's
not a lightweight championship bout.
It doesn't get the.
It's not a lightweight championship bout. It's a lightweight bout. He made the normal lightweight limit.
Yeah, no, because the normal he did not. The lightweight limit is 155, and they are afforded a 1 pound allowance. He was not afforded that, so he did not compete in a lightweight bout. That bout did not have. By the rules, and you know the rules. You love rules.
Any other? Whoa, hold on. Any other time than someone weighs 155.5, 156, then we shouldn't count that as a lightweight bout then, because that's over the limit. The limit is 155.
I mean, I think that there's an argument for that. I'm just saying that bout, based on my understanding of things, should not count as a lightweight bout, because the lightweight limit is not a weight he made, and that bout did not have the the 1 pound allowance that other lightweight bouts are given.
It does not, for me, it doesn't count as a lightweight championship bout, but is it in the weight range of a normal lightweight bout? Absolutely. Now we do have a here's a little teaser for the weekend, guys. We do have a little mid-season awards article coming out, and Jed does make a very compelling argument why my all-star pick for lightweight, Charles Oliveira, obviously, is embarrassed too strong a word, Jed? Maybe he messed up.
I don't think he embarrassed himself, because I think based on his actions, he clearly doesn't care. But
he lost. He messed up and lost his belt.
Hard.
Yeah, he messed up. He lost his belt. I'm sure everyone knows that. He came in the half, as Jed said, half pound over. There is no 1 pound allowance for a championship fight, so it was not a lightweight championship opportunity for him. But for me, I don't think there's any argument that he's not the best 155er in the world. UFC belts are props. Championship fights should have the 1 pound allowance. Not to get into this whole discussion, but the whole reason the 1 pound allowance exists, well, not the whole reason, one of the reasons the 1 pound allowance exists in MMA for non-title fights is specifically because if there's any weirdness with the scales, differentials between the scales, that's why they allow the 0.5 or the 1 pound over. So it's exactly for situations like this. And we kind of arbitrarily decided that championship bouts should be on point because it makes it more special. But then you create a situation like happened at that 274 where all these people are complaining they were half a pound over. Anyway, so that's a whole other thing. So yeah, I mean, look, by the letter of the law, he's not the lightweight champion anymore. That's fine. By the letter of, if you ask anyone who saw that fight and that amazing performance against Justin Gaethje, is this guy the best lightweight in the world? Did he put on the best performance by a lightweight fighter in the first half of 2022? He, for sure. So I have no issue making it my lightweight pick here.
This is tough because there's another direction that I want to go. I really want to make a case for this, but I just can't over this guy because Jed's not going to pick him. He's just not going to. At least I don't think he will.
That's because he sucks. Why would I pick somebody who sucks?
So I'm going with Michael Chandler. How can you not after that knockout of Tony Ferguson?
He sucks.
Maybe the things he says after these incredible knockouts don't merit such awards, but at least the performance in the cage, what he did throughout the fight week, along with Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler gets the nod. There's another direction I really wanted to go. But, we will save it. Maybe Jed will take that pick and break my heart. We'll see. Jed, who is your lightweight representative for the Jed Meshew All-Stars?
Look, everything is lining up so well for me in this draft. I've gotten every single person that I like, all of my top picks, and I knew I'd get this one because I knew exactly what would happen here. One of you would take the guy who sucks because you're blinded by the parts where he maybe doesn't suck, but he sucks. And then the other would take Charles Oliveira because even though he claims to love rules and that rules rule, he just never supports that with his actual actions. So for me, I'm going to argue against something AK said. What guy delivered a better performance in lightweight in the first half of the year? Well, the dude who didn't get hit. Islam Makhachev is the best lightweight in the world. He's going to prove it by the end of the year. And he ran roughshod over Bobby Green. Yes, Bobby Green came in on short notice. That was still a fight where a bunch of people were talking themselves into it. It was classic Khabib. Well, this is going to be the most difficult test of his career. And, Michael Johnson might be able to. No, Khabib is a wrecking ball and he runs through people. And Islam did the exact same thing. Everybody tried to talk themselves into Bobby Green's wily. He's tough to hold down. Really wasn't. Islam took him down, held him down, and won real quick. Perfect performance. He didn't get dropped twice. And granted, Bobby Green is not the same as Justin Gaethje, but he didn't get knocked down twice in this fight. He just did the damn thing. Give me the best lightweight in the world, Islam Makhachev, and I'm running roughshod over both of you with my draft right now.
Islam wasn't going to be my pick. It was going to be Mr. Main Event himself, Arman
You should have.
But
wow.
I don't practice what you preach, Mike. Why wouldn't you take that man?
I just want to show some love to Clay Collard and Haush Manfio. Can we do that? Can we do that, guys? PFL season's underway. Clay Collard, one of the best picks of the year with Jeremy Stevens.
Clay Collard was not on my list because I only had the 3 names because I knew exactly how these 3 would go. But if we were making a more comprehensive list, he would certainly be top 5.
Love Clay Collard. Haush Manfio,
like
big knockout.
That fight was unbelievable.
big knockout over Don match for Monfils as well. So we'll see. And the good thing with the PFL guys is they know they're going to fight at least 3 or 4 times a year. So they always kind of find a way, depending how they do it, to kind of sneak into the fighter of the year discussion. So we could be hearing from one of those guys in a few months.
Yeah, Hausch was nominated for sure at the end of last year. So featherweight, I mean, I this needs no explanation. I have, in my opinion, he might actually be the best fighter on planet Earth right now. July 2nd, he's going to have the opportunity to take another step forward, and maybe by the end of the year, maybe he'll have the opportunity to fight for a second title. But the man's name, Volkanovski, easy pick. This required no thought. So there you go. I'm happy to take Alexander the Great on my squad because he deserves it. One of the all-time great title defenses, in my opinion, top 10 for sure. He pitched a perfect game against a guy who was really, really tough and really, really gritty, and he's a gamer. But Volkanovski treated him like he was a 1-on-1 amateur fighter. It was incredible. So Volkanovski's my pick. Jed, to you, 145. Who makes your squad?
Yeah, I mean, I think Volko is the clear number one here. Can't argue with that one. I have 2 others, and I don't know which one of these is better. I'm going to take it off of strictly performance-based, and I will leave AK to assemble a team of non-UFC fighters. But even though Patricio Pitbull's win over AJ McKee is an incredible story and was a great fight and showed really how great he is, I still don't think that was as good a performance as the first UFC card this year, where Calvin Kattar just beat the absolute bricks off Giga Chikadze. And this was Kattar coming off himself getting mauled by Max Holloway in one of the biggest beatdowns we've ever seen inside the cage. Giga Chikadze is the new hotness. He's going to come do the same thing. And no, just not even a little bit. Kattar just whooped on him like he was the redheaded stepchild of a rented mule, and it was awesome. So that's the best performance outside of Volkanovski. I think that's the best performance we've seen at featherweight this year. So I'm going to take that man from a squad.
That is a tremendous pick. He was number 2 on my list. Number 3 was a great choice as well. Maybe AK will take my number 3 pick. AK, 145, who you got?
I'll say the guy who was left for me was actually my number 1. I actually didn't think Volkanovski was a clear choice. If we're basing it just on,
please tell me, finish that sentence. If we're basing it on what, is Volkanovski not the best?
It's sort of like the what the win meant to that fighter's career.
I think him having a perfect game against Korean Zombie means more than Pitbull winning a 3rd Bellator title.
Okay, no, but let's be fair here. Chen Sun-Chung, beloved, a great fighter, was not viewed as a great challenge for Alexander Volkanovski.
Yeah, but that's
okay.
It's how you do it. It's
but you can't ignore that.
Stoppage as a champion.
You can't ignore that part of it.
Though. No, I'm not ignoring it, but factoring it in, I still think this is a contest.
This is why I give Pitbull the edge, because Pitbull, everyone was just assuming, this is AJ McKee's gonna have, this is part of his victory tour. He beats Pitbull again, and he moves on to whatever it is that's next for him. And Pitbull's like, I don't believe in that BS. I'm one of the greatest. I'm one of the best 145ers on the planet. And he silenced a lot of people with that win, and probably made Bellator very upset. Probably screwed up a lot of Bellator plans, unless AJ's moving on from Bellator anyway. But so it's the odds were against him. It's how I think this adds to his legacy, because I think a lot of people really did expect this to be just AJ McKee goes up 2-0 on Pitbull. As much as everyone respects Pitbull, I think also we all think very highly of McKee. I certainly did. I thought McKee was going to beat him again. Maybe not as definitively as last time, but I thought it would go to a decision. It did, but it went in Pitbull's favor. So for me, that makes Pitbull the easy choice. And again, it's not Volkanovski's fault. He was originally supposed to fight Max Holloway a 3rd time, and then all this stuff just fell through, and he had to fight Chen Sun-Chung again, a very well liked fighter, a very tough fighter, no matter who what age he is, it doesn't matter. But he took care of business. I think Pitbull did what was unexpected, and that just kind of gives him extra points for me. So I'm leaning towards Pitbull. Again, it doesn't matter. He's my 3rd pick anyway, but I actually would have taken him number 1.
Wow, that is a bold pick. I wouldn't even have picked Pitbull my number 3 pick. Arnold Allen was my number 3 pick after that win over Dan Hooker. But Pitbull's in the conversation. Yeah, Pitbull's in the conversation.
There, but Yeah, I would take Pitbull, but I think you have an argument with Arnold Allen.
Let's go to 135, AK's favorite division. But Jed, we will kick things off with you. We have a undisputed bantamweight champion in the UFC. We have a champion in Bellator, but he did not fight this year, and he won't fight this year more than likely.
We also
What
have
are we
another
doing
champion
here?
in Bellator. We do have a champion in Bellator.
Oh yeah, we have an
clear.
interim champion as well.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Who was a tremendous fighter in his own right. Who's your
very
pick?
dumb. I'm not going to take the interim champion in Bellator, and I'm going to do. This is the pick that the fans that are watching are going to be like, "Oh, Jed went full Jed and did a dumb thing," and I don't care. Because
don't you do it, Jed?
I'm doing it, baby. I'm
son of a bitch.
doing it. Look, you get one chance to put on the promo of a lifetime. And
suck.
at the end of this year, I don't care about Michael Chandler, who sucks, yelling into the microphone. That's not a good promo. What's a good promo is saying, this is a really good fight because I'm really freaking good and Leandro Ego sucks. Danny Sabatello is my new spirit child. I want nothing but success for him. Watching him versus Leandro Ego later this year is going to be bananagrams. It's going to be awesome. His performance against Jornal Lugo was exceptional. He wrestled the crap out of him. And not like Logan Storley wrestled him. He like really, really wrestled the man and then like no joke. I think one of the 5 greatest promos I've ever heard in my life. So Danny Sabatello, for 100% sure, join the squad. We're going straight to the top, baby.
Damn, dude. That was going to be like my steal of the draft. I thought, me picking third at 135, I'm like, there's no way anybody's going to pick him.
You can get Stotts. Stotts is great.
No, I mean, I'm going to end up with my top 2 picks, but I thought for sure Sabatello was going to fall in my lap, but not the case. Great pick, Jed. AK, who do you got?
Oh, man. Would be the boring pick here and just go with Aljo. I mean, I actually thought, I wasn't going to get first here and someone else take Aljo, and I had some more fun picks. I'll say them after, but I won't spoil in case Mike, you happen to go in one of these directions. But yeah, listen, Aljo. I know the fight was controversial again, but in a different way. Thankfully, in a more entertaining way than the first Petr Yan fight. But for me, I had it 48-46 Sterling. I think at worst a draw for Sterling, which would have also been meant he retains the title. So. The guy's dealt with a ton of haters since the first fight. I know he's still dealing with haters. I don't know. This result might have made it worse. I'm not sure. Petr Yan, an amazing fighter. So for Sterling to beat him or again even take him to a draw and retain his title, I think is huge. Hopefully they fight again someday. But for now, guess what? It doesn't matter. Sterling officially won the decision. He is, I think, the undisputed best 135er in the world. It's hard for anyone to make a case against him. And if you're him, you've got that big gold belt around his waist. I know I call him props, but it's a hell of a prop to have when you're trying to say, "Hey, I'm nobody in this division is better than me," and I'll stick with him. And I actually really enjoyed that fight. I know people didn't like some of the grappling parts where there wasn't as much offense they would have liked to see, but I thought it was such a fascinating mixture of styles and strategy and competitiveness, and I love both. I think both fighters are fantastic. I hope they do fight again a third time. But Aljo, best bantamweight of the first half for me.
Rafion Stotts would be a great pick here,
yes.
But I'm not picking him.
Wow.
I'm picking Cheeto Vera.
Yeah,
I'm picking Cheeto Vera.
He was number 3 on mine.
Yeah, got to pick Cheeto. That win over Rob Font. He's a player. Like he's a legit player at 135 now. I thought he was a player before, but he's a legit player, and everybody believes that now. He's got a big fight coming up next against I don't know who. Could be Dominic Cruz. It could be. Maybe he gets a Sean O'Malley rematch if not that he really needs it, but it would be a huge fight if O'Malley could beat Pedro Munoz. Regardless, no matter who he fights next, it's going to be a very big deal. I didn't want to penalize him for the Jose Aldo call out. It was not a good one, in my opinion, because that fight just happened and we all saw how that went. But all in all, the way he's come back, that performance against Rob Font, yeah, I'm happy to have Marlon Vera on my team. No doubt about it. 125. Go ahead.
Hold on, Mike. I want to apologize to America because I went with. Listen, I had to stick with my list, my big board here. I had Sterling at the number 1 spot, so I had to take him. But like 2 more, way more interesting answers would have been Patchy Mix, who convincingly beat
Good pick.
Koji Horiguchi. I mean, amazing performance. That was for the wait. Was the interim? Who's the interim champion now? He is, right?
Stotts is the interim
Stotts.
champion.
Oh, okay. Stotts interim. Anyway, Patchy Mix on the other side of or another part of the bracket. Great performance against Horiguchi. I could see him not being top 3 just because Horiguchi is also coming off a loss, so it's not like he like ended Horiguchi's win streak or anything. But boy, I did not have Patchy winning that one, and I was amazed at his performance. Just so good. And then we got to show some love to John Lineker. We got to show love to John Lineker. I should have made him my pick. No, it would have been a great pick if I'd made it, Mike. But I chickened out. Knocks out Viviano Fernandez. And for anyone who hasn't been keeping track of Viviano, he's lost one time in the last 11 years. And the one guy he lost to, he's beaten that guy 3 times and avenged the loss twice over. I mean, they ran it back twice over after because one of the stoppages was bad. But so he had one loss in the last 11 years before getting into Lineker, and Lineker KOs him. And I think this might actually be a changing of the guard at Bantamweight in 1, but we'll see. I'm sure they'll rematch it at some point. But John Lineker, man, he's just doing damage overseas. What a little beast.
Excellent name drop. 135 is good. There's a lot of options there. Let's go to 125, AK. You have, I mean, again, this is your pick. You could end up with another UFC champion on the squad if you would like. I can't hear you, but I mean, maybe that's what you're pondering.
And I will, sadly.
Man, you're just taking all the belts, huh?
I know.
For a man who says titles don't mean anything, you're just
no. I didn't say that. I did not say that. I said whoa. I never said titles don't mean anything. I said they're props. Okay. And props.
You like props.
I like props. Props
just
are
Carrot
cool.
Top over here.
Nice relevance. That's a topical. How did no other prop comic ever come along and take that spot? He is the prop comic reference, like for the last 20 years.
Maybe I don't know where the
Gallagher's just a hammer.
I would say I don't know. Gallagher also just had a bunch of props. He's just remembered for the hammer.
He's the watermelon guy. Yeah, he's not the prop guy. He's
but
okay.
The rest of his bit had a lot of props in it.
I chickened out again. It went UFC champion Deiveson Figueiredo, but well deserved. One of the best fights of the year. I'm my runner up right now for the best fight of 2022. Personally, again, it's not like a big upset. I think him and Moreno, anytime those guys step in there, whoever has the belt might be favored, but it's pretty much a toss up. They're just so evenly matched, so competitive, right in the prime of their careers. You run that back 11 times, it probably goes one guy wins 6, one guy wins 5, and so on. So keep adding however many fights you want. It's just going to be one above 500. Just an amazing, or it'll be a draw like they did before. So just an amazing duo. Great to see. In this case, if Moreno had won, Moreno obviously would have been my pick, but Figgy got the belt back, so Figgy gets the props. I'll give him that all-star nod.
I mean, that's right there for you. I'm torn between two. One just seems so easy, and I might just give him to Jed.
I have like 4 different answers that I'm comfortable with. So whatever you're feeling.
I mean, it's the theme of the year, right? It's the theme of the year. It is the year of the raw dog after all. So 2-0 in 2022, a guy who wants to be the backup for this interim title fight between Brandon Moreno and Kai Kara France on July 30th. I'm going with Brandon Royval. Let's go. It is the year of the raw dog AK. So yes, I have to make sure that Brandon Royval has a spot on one of these all-star rosters.
Hey, it's a great pick. He was certainly in my sort of top group. But once again, I love that you guys are just giving me all the things I want. We're going to get heat for nobody taking KKF, by the way, because KKF has emerged. But give me the most electrifying prospect that the sport's seen in the past year. Like, I think
good pick.
The best debut that we've seen in forever. Muhammad Mokaev, like, he's 21 years old and has the world at his feet, making his UFC debut against the toughest test of his career in Cody Durden, and taps him in less than a minute. Like, on that London card, couldn't dial it up better for this guy to finally make his UFC debut. And I mean, we talked about it afterwards, Mike. We just strap the rockets to him. This guy's going forever, ever up and up. 2-division champion we talked about on one of these programs. We're envisioning that for him. So plus just a baller performance. So you guys just keep giving me all my favorite people, and this is great.
Shout outs to Kekar France, you mentioned, and Adriano Moraes, #1. Guys, he fought this year. He finally got back in there and defended his title. #1 guy in 2 of our panelists MMA Fighting global rankings. Now, unfortunately, I think if I asked the average person who did he fight, who did he beat, probably going to get a lot of blank expressions, but
You want to ask a person who works in MMA media instead of the average person?
Jed, do you know who he beat?
Haven't a clue.
I believe it was Yuya Wakamatsu, and he.
Well, okay.
He
That's
it
hey,
was,
Yuya Wakamatsu.
good fighter.
Good
But, I mean,
He's a good fighter.
Clearly, it was not. Yeah, it was Yuya Wakamatsu, and a great performance by Adriano Moraes. So he was in my top 3. He was in my top 3.
So you weren't among the billions and billions, Jed?
I probably watched, but I just don't remember. Because I probably did watch, because I probably had to do something with it. I just don't remember it. Before we move on to the women's section, Mike, have you taken a non-UFC fighter yet?
Yoel Romero.
Oh, you took Romero. That's right. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure we were all above board here.
Yep.
Rules.
I picked Romero, and if I didn't get Romero, I thought for sure I was going to get Sabatello. So I was prepared. I was ready to go.
Well, you took Romero from me. I took Danny Sabs from you.
I picked several. Now I really wish I had picked. I really wish I'd picked John Lineker instead of Aljo. I could have had this whole non-UFC roster thing.
I just bring it up because 135 plus is. There have not been a lot of fights that fit that category this year in general, and almost none of them have been good. So
yeah, the two obvious choices are both outside of the UFC, but I'm actually it is my pick. I'm going to shine some light on somebody else who got a victory. She actually looked really good in her fight, and she's had a pretty tough year because of the stupid trial that is going on between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. So I'm going to give Raquel Pennington the rub here to join the All-Stars, the Mike Heck of it All-Star team. Beats Aspen Ladd. She's on a nice run right now. She's close to getting back to a title fight. Just when we thought she might have been just down and out and just maybe a litmus test at best, she has come back and done the damn thing. So Raquel, not that Raquel Pennington. We're talking about UFC fighter Raquel Rocky Pennington. And if you don't know the reference, if you're not paying attention to this trial, like I'm not paying attention to this trial, apparently there's somebody named Raquel Pennington whose nickname is also Rocky. But Raquel talked to our own Stephen Morocco and sort of gave her side of the story.
Whose name is, funnily enough, also Rocky.
Isn't that amazing? So Raquel Pennington, welcome to the team. I just feel like she deserves it. There you go.
Yeah, they don't even look alike. I've seen people like going like, oh yeah, I can see the similarities. It's like, what? Like I've seen the pictures of both women. I'm like, they don't look alike at all. Are you like, this is cognitive dissonance? Mike, did you
Twitter John Jones doesn't look anything like John Bones Jones either.
That's a whole and that's a whole other realm of stupidity. Mike, did you swerve me there? Because I swear, when you started saying like the adversity of this woman, I thought you were going to go with a woman you had spoken to recently, Elena Kolesnik. I thought because she had won a PFL and obviously is dealing with the war, what's going on in the Ukraine. So I thought I thought you swerved us there. But shout outs to her.
No,
split knot at PFL.
Yeah, it just was part of the draft. If I was the third pick of the draft, I would have picked her in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. But I went with Raquel. I just felt like she deserved it. And yeah, here we are. Elena, shout out to Elena Kolesnik. She got the win in her PFL debut this year. And, I hope she wins the whole damn thing and wins that mill. Jed, your pick, 135
points
plus.
On the board.
Oh man, this is not what one would call easy. So I'm going to take the softball mainly because I want to keep AK from just doing nothing but collecting champions. So give me Chris Cyborg. It wasn't the greatest thing that's ever happened, but her fight with Arlene Blencowe, honestly not entirely sure how to pronounce that. AK, please enlighten me when it's your turn.
I think you said it. Blencowe.
Was honestly a really good it wasn't a good fight, but it was at least entertaining because Arlene is just shoe leather tough, and she withstood an absolute savaging from Chris Cyborg. And now Cyborg is like maybe a free agent. Maybe she can go to box. I don't know. But she put on frankly, probably the best performance and most entertaining fight for this particular weight class class is this year so far. So give me Cyborg.
Yeah. I mean, right there. It's a good pick. AK, who are you going with? 135 plus?
I'm glad you picked her because I would have felt stupid if you picked someone else and then I had to pick this person who I had ahead of her on my big board. I probably would have switched it up and just gone with Cyborg instead. I'm going to go with, this is going to make people mad, Ketlin Vieira for ending.
I knew you were
the
going
reign
to do that.
Listen. Ending the reign of terror of Holly Holm
I think
in the
that's
top
a fair choice.
5 or top 6. I mean, I guess she's still in the top 5 of the rankings or something, but the top 3, that's stranglehold. Especially if you of course you remove GDR as well. And just kind of freshening things up. Now, she should be disqualified for not being more definitive in her performance and kicking off a whole new round of open scoring debates. But for me, I want to reward her for, if anything, exposing why the discussion is so silly and why the bigger discussion should be people need to understand the criteria, guys. I did a robbery review for this fight. I explained very clearly why there's such a strong case for Vieira, or at the very least for anyone calling this fight a robbery is absurd. My pal Aaron Bronstetter, check out his Twitter. He did a great short 10-minute video where he talks about the criteria, possible misconceptions, why people thought Holly Holm was a clear winner and why that's not the case. A lot of people have done great work on it. Sean Sheehan's always doing great stuff with this. So not to start the discussion again, but I thought Vieira, to the point, I thought she put on a really great performance. I think she did everything she needed to beat Holly Holm, who's still at age 40, an extremely tough opponent, as many other fighters have discovered recently, who think that, she's right for easy pickings. Holly Holm is not that. I think whoever she fights next is also in for a tough out. So Ketlin Vieira really gutting it out over 5 rounds, and maybe not the strongest finish to the fight, but did enough to win. And when you're facing someone like that, that's all you need to ask for. So happy to have her on my team.
Excellent choice, AK. Excellent choice.
She definitely won that fight too.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure. Go back and watch it again, and you will feel even more confident that Ketlin Vieira won the fight. Just watch it by yourself. Take the live and the Twitter out of it. Just watch it for what it is on an island. You will score for Ketlin Vieira. I pretty much will guarantee it.
There's some times.
And let me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jed.
I would say there's some times where if you go find stuff I've ranked on MMA decisions that it looks weird or insane, that's one that's going to age really nicely.
Yeah,
as is me, and I forget who else.
Nick Baldwin. You and your old pal Nick Baldwin from the score.
And that makes me feel less confident about my score now.
Let me say this: if anyone out there scored, I've written this, I've said it multiple times. If anyone out there scored round 4 for Holly Holm in that fight, you should never score a fight again. You have no idea what you're watching, and you should never ever comment on scoring again. That round 4 is one of the most clear things where I all 3 judges got it right. All 3 judges scored it for Vieira, but I saw people going Holly Holm clearly won round 4. You cannot talk about scoring anymore. You're out. You're out of the conversation. Never score a fight again. That's it.
The more we talk about that fight, the more we're going to talk about open scoring, and how somehow that fight has instituted a week-long debate on open scoring, which is just dumb because it shouldn't have. But here we are. We're down. We have 2 divisions to go. We head to the women's flyweight division, Jed Meshew. You get to kick us off here. Who's it going to be?
Dude, I'm so happy that I got this one, because there are other choices beyond the first pick, but there really aren't, because one person deserves this. And I'm going to continue with my strategy of just taking people who fought at UFC London. Molly McCann authored what is probably going to be the second greatest knockout of the year. What is honestly, I think, the greatest knockout I've ever seen in a women's mixed martial arts contest. If not, it's certainly right up there. And she made me a genius, because the gambling column I do every week, she was my long shot of the week at plus 3,400 for a 3rd round TKO. And she spinning back elbowed me straight to the bank. So give me Meatball Molly McCann, please. And I'm feeling great about that.
I like the choice. Well done. AK, it's up to you, my man.
Yeah, and I'll say that's a great number 1 pick. And I would make the case no one raised their stock more than her. I mean, there's one other option, which I think Mike might pick after I make my pick, but that fighter kind of went from being viewed as a surefire contender to now is just in the thick of the contender ranks. While I think Molly McCann, I mean, I'm not saying people saying she's a world title contender, but she went from kind of being a fun, well-liked fighter to now people are saying she's one of the most talked about fighters in the division. So yeah. Great finish, great pick. I'll go with listen, team of champions, Liz Carmouche. I loved that her title shot was somewhat. A lot of people are saying that she was sort of the uncrowned queen of that division in Bellator. Her work in the UFC and Strikeforce, everything is just she's beaten a lot of good opponents. And with respect to Juliana Velasquez, everyone thought that when she ran into Carmouche, that'd be the real test. Now, Velasquez did really well in that fight, but Carmouche did what she had to do and did not leave it in the hands of the judges, as they say. Finished that fight with ground and pound. Controversial stoppage, certainly. Not Mike Beltran's best work, but whatever. At the end of the day, the result is a TKO victory for Liz Carmouche and a belt around her waist. And again, well deserved. It was just a great feeling for to see a fighter who's had so many opportunities say, I am the champion of a major organization. And regardless of, they'll have a rematch, and regardless of how that goes, you can never take that away from her. That's always gonna be on Carmouche's resume. And I was really happy to see it.
Solid choice. I was looking at originally, probably until about 5 minutes ago, my pick was going to be Alexa Grasso for getting the finish over Joanne Calderwood, moving up the ranks, probably a win away from a title fight. But I changed my mind because oftentimes when you watch corners say dumb things with a live microphone and then you have to insert both feet in your mouth because the fighter you said stupid things about went out and just beat your fighter. This is no disrespect to the fighter that was actually beat, but the cornerman kind of deserves the comeuppance, and he's going to fight Adrian Yanez on June 18th at Austin, Texas. But Viviane Araújo, great performance over Andrea Lee. She took a bit of a verbal beating in the corner, really necessarily towards her, but I think she probably heard it after the fact. And I think a lot of people were very happy with how the result of that fight and how things played out. And with that being said, big win for Viviane Araújo, an important win for Viviane Araújo, and just kind of add that's cherry on top of the sundae with the whole corner stuff, the dumb things that were said. So give me Vivi Araújo for an all-star selection. I'm happy with that pick.
Respect.
And now we go to the division that, at least in up until UFC 274, never let you down. The UFC Strawweight division, 115 pounds. We have a brand new champion in Carla Esparza. AK, you get to go first.
Oh no!
Are we adding another champion?
Am
I picking number one? Am I picking number one?
Are we adding another champion?
I actually kind of want to dodge this bullet because I'm going to take so much crap for saying that Carla Esparza is my all-star choice. Listen. Also,
dodge the bullet? Also, like me or Mike were going to take her? Come on.
No, that's what I'm saying. I wish one of you had. No, yeah, I guess you wouldn't have taken.
You going first wouldn't have mattered. She was going to be on the table.
Second? Would you have taken her second?
No.
Would you have taken her? No, not even.
She's not on my board.
Listen. Oh, by the way, full disclosure. This is. I don't know if you'll know this. I actually didn't see the fight.
Great. Keep it that way.
I was literally covering, much like Dana White, I was actually covering Canelo as the fight was happening for the site. And then they don't put, and then I didn't bother to find like an illegal version. I think the pay-per-view is on. I assume it's on Fight Pass at this point, or so. So I haven't seen the fight, so I didn't go through the pain. I admit I did not go through the suffering that everyone went through. So I might think differently when I review the fight. I understand it was bad. I understand people saying, for both fighters, probably one of the worst performances they have seen in the UFC championship fight. I completely understand that. But again, I'm struck by the journey. I'm struck by the adversity that Carla Esparza went through. I know that's not part of the first 6 months of 2022. I'm kind of cheating here. That's like saying, oh, I have to take into stuff everything that happened over the years. But we just wanted her to get it. We waited so long for her to get a title fight. And look, she won. She now has 2 wins over Rose Namajunas. I don't know if that fight's going to happen again. Just 1, because she has 2 wins, and 2, no one wants to see it. But for her to be able to claim that title again, the longest stretch ever between 2 separate title runs in UFC history, is absolutely incredible. And listen, the fight might have been terrible. She went to her wedding without a scratch on her face and wore the belt. So you can say what you want. I think she's winning in multiple ways, other than maybe winning over the goodwill of the fans after that performance. But I will defend the pick. I think she deserves it. I know there's other good options. I did have other good choices at 115, and I'm sure you guys will gladly swoop in and take them.
So I
respect it.
Yeah, I mean, good for you.
Supercharged Dennis Hallman, you take her.
Staying consistent. So I'm torn here. I'm torn between who I actually believe is the best strawweight on the planet right now with the way things have shaped up, or someone who just deserves a spot. And on top of that, I kind of want the cheap pop, if you will.
I don't know what either of these are, so now I'm interested. You've baited the hook.
I'm not going with the best. You know what? I'm not going with the best strawweight in the world right now. I'm not going with her. I'm going with somebody else. Casey, get the air horns ready, baby. I think
this
you
is
know
gonna
where
be
I'm
off
going
the
with
board.
this. I think you know where I'm going with this. Making her inaugural. I mean, everyone's making their inaugural All-Star team debut, but making her Team Heck All-Star debut, the one, the only, Lupita Loopy Godinez, for her incredible performance over just an incredible performance. She dominated Ariana Carnelozzi. She looked great. She didn't really get any attention after the card, despite the performance, because of all the storylines that happened after the fact at UFC 274. So, Loopy Godinez, welcome to the team. I'm happy to have you. And I knew you weren't going to get picked. It's unfortunate. You probably should have got picked. And I gave up the best strawweight in the world to have you on my team. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not unhappy about it. I'm proud of my selection, and I'm proud to have you as a member of the team, Loopy. Jed, thank you. Close us out, Jed.
Yeah, I'm going to take the best strawweight in the world, and the woman who authored the front runner for submission of the year, the first standing arm triangle finish in UFC history or whatever. Give me Jessica Andrade, because I thought she's been the best strawweight in the world for a while, though I'm interested to see how a rematch with Joanna would play out. And that division is all just sort of tumultuous, but I thought she beat Rose in the rematch, and she just went up to lose to Bullet because everyone loses to the Chevy truck. So she's still the best, and she's dope, and my team is way better than all of yours.
Hey, listen, this is not about whose team is better. This is about recognizing all the fighters who deserve to be recognized. Okay, this isn't a competition. And by the way, yeah, you probably did win, but I like my team.
You just gave me all the people that I like the most, which is the best. It's like,
yeah,
it's a bunch of people I love. This is great.
I mean,
listen,
this is awesome.
I don't like the knock that I only pick champions. Technically, I picked two guys who are not champions in Charles Oliveira and Corey Anderson. So it's back off.
Actually, AK probably has the better. AK's probably the favorite with his team. I mean, right now.
If we're like fist fighting them all, maybe. Even then, I'm not sure. I feel like I have Cyborg and Andrade, and that's going to do a lot of work in the women's fights.
I feel like you picked the more all-stars. Like your team has like more of the speedy, like the point guards with like the good passers. You got a lot of dunkers. You got like the finishers. You got the highlight reel finishers.
Picked a lot of people who put up good numbers this year thus far.
Yeah. Statistically, yeah. Highlight reel plays.
I think we've done a good job of recognizing those who deserve to be recognized. Even coming into the show, I don't think a lot of people expected Danny Sabatello to be on an all-star team, and he was actually going to be picked by at least two of us. There's a guarantee. It might have been the most guaranteed pick on the entire board, because if Jed didn't pick him, I absolutely was picking Danny Sabatello.
You took Vera instead, and AK you took. Who'd you take? Aljo?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Bantamweight did have a lot of good names that did a lot of good things this year, thus far. But I mean, when you drop one of the 5 all-time promos, you should get recognized for it.
Yes, well, agreed. There's no poll, but if you guys just want to hit us up on Twitter, we could talk about it on Heck of a Morning tomorrow. Let us know who you thought actually won this thing. I mean, this isn't the whole thing. I mean, if we want to turn this into a competition, we can say who won, but it's subjective.
No, we can all just leave here thinking we all won, and that's okay. That's the best kind of competition.
I like that.
We're all winners.
I crushed you. And all of the all-stars we selected are also winners. And yeah, I'm definitely the winner. I have youth. I have style. I think Loopy Godinez could give a run to the money. Run for the money for both of your selections. Wouldn't favor her, but wouldn't come out of there.
I would count her out against Jessica Andrade. I would be willing to do that.
Last thing I want to say, John Lineker, I'm so sorry I didn't pick you. I've been thinking about it ever since. I should have put John Lineker on my team. What a terrible misfire on my part.
missed opportunity.
I feel so bad
sure.
now. He's an all-star.
Well,
he is an all-star.
Of
Well,
my
we
heart,
live-
if nothing else.
We live, we learn, and now we have our strategies for this year, and we can only improve upon it. So, Jed, AK, thank you. I think most of the people who have watched this entire thing also thank you for joining me on this journey to not talk about open scoring, even though we still kind of talked about it at certain points throughout this broadcast. Let's give open scoring a break. I think we need MMA Fighting merch that says give open scoring a break. Give the debate a break. And there you go. So thank you all for watching. Casey, your thoughts, just real quick, Casey, your thoughts on what just transpired.
On open scoring.
Did you think hell no? Did you think we represented the All-Stars well? Do you think we spread things out the right way?
You know what?
Are you happy with the picks?
Did we miss somebody obvious?
Loopy's on the team, so I'm happy. Loopy's on the team. So
I won.
That's all, yeah. You
Wait, holy crap. Well, wait a minute. We missed one person.
I'm with you, AK. I just thought of it.
They fought in March. They fought this past March.
Colby.
30-24.
No.
30-24.
Oh, Casey
Leiden. Oh.
I thought the staff was off limits to be in the picks.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
so
exactly. That was my fault.
I'm
You
gonna
know what? We
regret
all
that
lost.
for the rest of my life.
We all lost. And that's it. And with that, on that somber note, I think we are done. Thank you, Casey, for being a part of this and recording our beautiful faces. For Jed Meshew, for AK Lee, I am Mike Hack. Next week, back after it. We'll be back to sort of a normal schedule. The UFC will be back. Not a great main event, but we'll talk about it. We'll certainly talk about it right here next week on Between the Links. The iconic voice of Esther Lynn perhaps takes you home. Good night, everybody.
This has been Between the Links. I'm Esther Lynn, and I love open scoring. Let's talk about it. Happy birthday, AK.
Hit some dingers, Mike.
Oh, I'm gonna.